This video is brought to you by America First Insight. Help support the growing conservative movement by becoming a member today. And if you want to support this channel, you can also use the code REAL when becoming a member. Thank you and enjoy the video. Well, we just got some very good news out of the great state of Florida, and I think most of you have probably heard by now, but for those that haven't, a little while ago, Florida Republicans just unveiled their new congressional map for 2026. Now, to be clear, this isn't final. This is not passed as of now, but there is a 99% chance in the next couple of weeks, this will be the new congressional map for 2026. And let's just say it is a big win for the GOP. There's been a lot of speculation for not just a couple of weeks, we're talking about a couple of months now as to how aggressive Florida Republicans would be. Because in the state of Florida, with how Republican the state has gotten in just 5 years, you could have theoretically drawn out every single Democrat. Of course, that is insanely risky. It would look hideous, and really the courts would throw it out. But you get the point that, yeah, you could have gone crazy here if you really wanted to. But of course, that was unrealistic. That was not going to happen. But still, there was much debate within the Republican Party over how aggressive they should be. Because for whatever reason, you had Republicans in Florida pushing back against all forms of redistricting, not just super aggressive types. They were saying, no, don't redistrict anything, because if we change even one district, it's going to be a blue tsunami. We're losing every other seat. It's a dummy mander. You can't make this up. We're not talking about a state like Pennsylvania. We're talking about Florida. DeSantis won it 4 years ago by 20 points? Trump won it by 13 points. This is a very Republican state, up and down the ballot, super Republican. And I know you don't want to draw a map that gets rid of every Democrat. It would look hideous. We all know that. But seriously, they're pushing back against even drawing any Democrat out. Well, Ron DeSantis said, screw you, and dropped this map. I personally wanted a net gain of 5 seats, but the more you look at this map, the more you realize a net gain of 4 and the way it was done is still a big win. Yeah, it's a net gain of up to 4 congressional seats for Republicans later this year. Not 1, not 2, not even the rumored 3. DeSantis went for a net gain of 4 seats. Again, 1 less than a lot of people wanted, but the more you look at this, the more you realize, oh, there's nothing wrong with this map. In fact, the more you think about it, this was the right move. Because look at the margins for the new seats. Florida 9th, Trump plus 17. Florida 14th, Trump plus 10. Florida 22nd, Trump plus 10. Florida 25, Trump plus 9. If you would have gone even further, you do run the risk of making a couple of these seats a bit more competitive than you want it to be. And I still think they could have gone even further in some areas, but I would rather have a map like this that gives us a guaranteed 3 flips, more than likely 4, instead of having a map where, yeah, you could maybe gain 5 or 6 in a best case scenario. But, oh yeah, by the way, some of these other seats, they're way more competitive now. They could theoretically flip Democrat. You don't want to run the risk of that. So I think this is kind of a happy medium. It gives us more seats, but also it prevents any dumb scenario from happening. Now, to illustrate how big of a swing this really is for some of these districts, look at this right here. These are the districts based on the new versus old maps. And you may notice something very apparent. Some of these districts swung by up to 21 points to the right. 21 points for Florida 9th. Florida 14th, R plus 18, it swung. Florida 22nd, swung by 16 points. Florida 25, swung by 14 points. We're not talking about a tiny 1-point shift in all these areas. We're talking about a consistent 14 to 21 point shift in these 4 districts. And even the Republican seats that got more Democrat for obvious reasons, look at some of these seats. They're still R plus 15, R plus 20. Only 1 is now within 15 points, and that's Florida 16th. It went from being R plus 15 to R plus 13. A 2-point shift. Wow. In other words, Really, the only way that this map could fail based on the 2024 baseline is if Democrats win Florida. And I don't think they're going to win Florida for a long time. Maybe some of these districts are more competitive, sure, because you got some strong incumbents. I get that. But guys, for Democrats to realistically have a chance to flip not just one of these seats, but two or three of them, they need to basically win Florida. To illustrate this even further, even back in 2020, these districts would still be Republican. Yeah, two of them, they would be Democrat in 2020, but not by 20 points, by 3 and 5 points respectively. Yeah. So even if they lose Florida by 3, let's say Florida Democrats make a historical comeback and they turn Florida into a Republican leaning state again. Well, in that scenario, yeah, there will be a couple competitive districts, but guess what? These seats are still leaning to the right, outside of 2, and they're not by 20-point margins. Do you see the problem here? Democrats have to win Florida, essentially, to even have a chance at stopping a couple of these seats from flipping, because even then, some of these seats would still theoretically flip, like Florida 14th. It goes from D plus 19 to R plus 3. And Florida 9th, same thing. It would flip. That's the problem here. They need a Florida before 2020 to even have a chance at winning a couple of these seats, not just one in a fluky election, to win 2 or 3 of them. And even then, that's still a net gain. Yet, for whatever reason, there are people that are actually saying that this is a dummy mander map. It's going to blow up in the GOP's face. It's going to flip all of these seats Democrat. You think I'm exaggerating? Look at what Robert Barnes said. Of course, it was Robert Barnes. Look at this. The big risk the GOP considering is to assume Hispanic voters will vote more like 2024 than before, when all evidence suggests they will be voting more Democrat than ever before. Yeah, this is real. And before I respond to what Barnes said here, because I think this is just insane, this was in response to a tweet of somebody basically confirming what we just said. For this map to backfire, Democrats have to basically come close to winning Florida. They have to get it within 3 points. And even then, we're talking about a net gain of 1. And even if you assume that Democrats run strong candidates, yeah, then sure, they got a net gain of 3. So you're telling me that you have to go all the way back to 2018 before the Hispanic shifts in 2020, 22, 24, before all of that, before all these people moved to Florida, to find a result that shows that this would blow up in the Republicans' face. Yeah, that's what we're saying, that, yeah, for this to backfire, Democrats essentially have to win Florida. Does anyone really think that's going to happen? Apparently, I guess people like Robert Barnes and others, they're actually suggesting that not only will this backfire, but all the trends in Florida are going to magically reverse this year. Seriously? So ignoring the fact that, yeah, for Democrats to make a comeback here, they have to essentially win Florida. And even then, it's a net gain of like 1, which is nothing. Who cares? That's best case scenario. Not only that, but you're assuming that there's going to be this magical comeback for Democrats. Maybe there is some reversion here and there in Florida. I'm not even denying that. But Robert Barnes is not just talking about some reversion. That's one thing. There's a 5-point shift in Florida with some voters. Fine, that could happen. He is claiming that not only are Hispanic voters going to shift to the left compared to 24, he is saying that Hispanic voters will vote more Democrat than ever before based on evidence. Excuse me. What? I am stunned. He actually said this. He actually is claiming that Hispanic voters are not just shifting left compared to 24 or even like 2022. He is saying they're going to be the most Democrat they've ever been, ever before in history. Just to demonstrate how ludicrous this sounds, and we're going to talk about the evidence part in a second because it's just insane. Let's go back to 2000. And I should be clear about this with exit polls. Sometimes they have wacky results. So again, just because they might say it's like D plus 20 or whatever, it could be off by a couple points, but you get the point. In 2000, Republicans lost Hispanics by 27. 2004, Republicans lost Hispanics by 9. 2008, they lost them by 36. 2012, lost them by 44 points. Just keep going. 2016, Trump lost them by around 38 points. So Barnes is claiming that not only will Hispanics shift left compared to 24, which again, there's some debate over how Republican they were. We don't really know for sure, but obviously they are way more Republican than usual. Either way, he's claiming that not only are these voters shifting left, they're going to swing so far to the left, they're going to be even more Democrat than they were in 2012, when Romney did not even crack 30% with Hispanics. But somehow, Hispanics are shifting so far to the left, not just by a couple points, not just to the left of 2024, even 2022. They're so far to the left now that Mitt Romney is going to outperform with Hispanics. Seriously, does no one see how just ludicrous that sounds? Seriously, they're going to be so Democrat, they're more Democrat than 2012? Really? That's what Barnes is saying. Okay, let's just say there is this magical historical reversion with Hispanics, which I think could happen, not to the scale that Barnes is talking about, but even then, what you're going to see occur in 2026 is, yeah, some Hispanic voters, there might be reversion with them. But guys, we're not talking about any ordinary Hispanic voters in Florida. We're talking about Cubans, Venezuelans, Colombians. They tend to be way more Republican. And after what happened in Venezuela, what's about to happen in Cuba, I highly doubt these voters are going to magically vote Democrat. Well, let's just be honest. Yes, Florida has a lot of Puerto Ricans and other groups as well. I'm not denying that. But the core Hispanic population, it's Cubans, Venezuelans, Puerto Ricans, Colombians. And yeah, Puerto Ricans are more to the left, but guys, do you think that Cubans are going to swing 45 points to the left? That's the only way that it becomes a dummy mander. I highly doubt it. Is it possible? Sure, I guess. But okay, you get the point that this is insane to even suggest that we're going to have more Democrat Hispanics than in 2012. That is ludicrous to suggest. But okay, ignoring that part, I really want to ask Barnes, what evidence is he talking about? Because I looked at 3 separate pollsters, 2 very good ones, or I should say one good one that used to be good, used to be credible, and one that's kind of bad, but they released crosstabs. And I looked at all 3 of them. I'm actually curious, because if he's talking about the polls, well, he has some major problems. For starters, his own pollster in Big Data Poll, which is Richard Barris, his own freaking pollster has the generic ballot as D plus 18. Yes, it's more Democrat than it was in 2024. That's true. But D plus 18 is still 25 points to the right of 2012, excuse me. A 20-point swing for 2012. That is nowhere close to being a historical defeat for Republicans with Hispanics. Far from it. Yeah, the Republican vote share isn't the best, but the Democrat vote share, not good either. Democrats are struggling to even crack 50% with Hispanics. And I guarantee you, the ones that are saying undecided or someone else, they lean Republican. But maybe they're having issues with Trump right now or whatever. You get the point that, yeah, even his own pollster is not showing a D plus 45 environment with Hispanics. And you go with leaners, and look at this. D plus 17 with Hispanics. That's it. Republicans, 31%. Democrats still don't crack 50%. And again, a lot of someone else's slash third party. I guarantee you these freaking people would, at the end of the day, not all of them, but a good chunk of them would vote Republican. So his own pollster is indicating no, there is not this 45-point shift among Hispanics. Even Trump's approval, and this was a very bad poll for Trump, he still has 35 to 36% of Hispanic voters that approve of his job as president. Does this look like a 40-point collapse with Hispanics? No. Let's keep going. YouGov, and everyone knows YouGov is a very Democrat pollster. They have a D plus 17 with Hispanics. Nearly identical to what Barris found. Is that strange? Keep that in mind. Barris had it like D plus 18. Democrat or YouGov has Democrats winning Hispanics by 17 points. Okay. Quantus Insights, one of the best pollsters out there, they have Republicans at 34%, but more importantly, Democrats still below 50, and take a guess the margin. D plus 17. Or excuse me, it's D plus 16. Either way, consistently in 3 different pollsters, Quantus Insight's a very good pollster, People's Pundit, and with big data, they've been off lately, and YouGov. They're all showing the same thing. They're all showing maybe not the same raw numbers, but a consistent trend of D plus 16, D plus 18. That's not good for the GOP compared to 2024, but honestly, this isn't this historical collapse with Hispanics. We're not talking about a 40-point shift. And I guarantee you, the Hispanic voters that are now against Republicans, they're not the ones that would impact Florida. I highly doubt it. So the map the Republicans have is a good one. Just objectively speaking, you need Democrats to flip Florida just for it to blow up Republicans' faces. Yeah, no shit. It's like saying, well, if Republicans flipped California, that would make that a dummy mander. Yeah, you could do this with every state. New York, Connecticut, Illinois, all these states. You apply the same logic. Yeah, all these states are dummy manders then. Arkansas is a dummy mander if Democrats win it. You see the problem here? Anyways, folks, thank you so much for watching. If you guys did enjoy, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, and of course, join the channel today. Godspeed to all of you.